Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Let's try this again. Meteorologist Steve Caparotta here. We've been having some audio issues. I apologize. Technology, it goes. I'm looking at an audio meter on the device in my home right now, and it looks like the audio is good, but something lost in translation between here and the feed going out. So let's try this again. I'm going to take a moment here, just at the beginning, let everybody kind of join. Let me know if you guys still are having audio issues as well, but hopefully we've got it sorted out this time. See if it's working a little bit better, and we can kind of walk through what's going on. All right. So let's see, folks. Winter storm warning is in effect for all of the viewing area, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. But again, I wanted to give this just a minute for everybody to join and make sure everybody's got the opportunity to get in and hear what we're talking about. But we do have a winter storm warning in effect for the duration of the day on Tuesday, and that's now area wide. So let me take a look at that. Let's get into the graphics. So that you see shaded in pink. And the one change here is now immediate coastal locations yesterday were not in that winter storm warning are now. There has been some guidance that has shifted the snow threat even farther south over the last, say, 12 hours. So with that, the Weather Service did go ahead and include all of our area. But I think we all still need to be preparing for a significant event. And again, as you look at this is crazy to see, but winter storm warnings all the way almost to Brownsville, Texas, so up the Texas coast, all of South Louisiana, South Mississippi, parts of Alabama, even the Florida Panhandle. So you're talking about places that we're so familiar with, like Gulf Shores, Destin, Fort Walton, places like that could even be in on some snowfall as we get into Tuesday and early Wednesday. So just a very, very unusual setup. Hopefully we've got audio. I haven't heard any feedback otherwise, so I'm going to keep rolling with this. I'm just checking to see if anybody's telling me otherwise, but hopefully we've got audio at this point. You can all hear what's going on. All right, let's walk through the timeline. This is the graph model. So we pick it up at midnight tonight. Note that it already has some snow showing up. Okay, so I'm getting a text, still no audio. Well, all right, hang tight if you can hear me. All right, gang, hang tight. I apologize, but I just got a text that says no audio. Um, so just making sure that we got this. All right, so I'm going to keep rolling for now until I hear otherwise, that some of you don't have audio. Okay, so again, sorry for the complication. I'm going to be in all afternoon, all night. We'll go into more detail on air, even as we maybe had some technical difficulties here. So at midnight tonight, the graph model's showing already some light snow starting to show up just west of Baton Rouge. And as we advance this, what you'll see is that the snow does start spreading eastward, and we expect snow to start moving in by or before daybreak for many of us. Should start out on the lighter side tomorrow morning. The other thing to note here is that you see some shades of pink. So the model is generating a little bit of a mix. I think the two things here. Number one, the primary threat from any mix would be in the form of sleet, not so much freezing rain, which is a little bit of good news. And number two, the primary threat location for that mix is mostly going to be south of I-10 the way it looks right now. I think near and north of the interstates, just about anything that falls is going to be in the form of snow. At the very beginning, there could be a little bit of sleet mixed in, but this should be a mostly snow event for most of the area. As we get through Tuesday morning, you see how the snow overspreads all of our area, and you might note some of the darker shades of blue indicating the snow intensity picking up. So again, that's noon on Tuesday, and you'll see the graph has it kind of exiting west to east during the afternoon. So by 5 o'clock, it's got a pretty dry pretty dry around here. Some of the other model guides does show snow hanging on just a little bit longer. So just want to make sure that you understand that's just one model. There are some other guides that hangs on to things just a little bit longer. Now, after that, Wednesday, the story is going to be how much is on the ground. It's going to be very cold, so I think a good bit will linger into the day on Wednesday. But here's what makes snow forecasting so tricky and so difficult, okay? I've talked at least briefly over the last couple of days about snow ratios. So what do we mean? Well, if we take an inch of liquid water, how much snow is actually produced by that inch of liquid water? It actually varies based on a number of factors, including the temperature profile of the atmosphere. Generally speaking, and it's kind of complicated, but generally speaking, the colder the atmosphere is, you're going to get a lighter, fluffier snow. You're going to get more bang for your buck the colder the atmosphere is. Down here along the Gulf Coast, where on these rare occasions where we do get snow and the temperature at the surface tends to be closer to freezing, and aloft maybe not as cold as what you would see farther north, our snow tends to be a wetter, heavier snow. So what you're going to see here is three different examples. So in this case, what may be a little more typical here along the Gulf Coast would be kind of what we refer to as a 5-to-1 ratio, where you basically get 5 inches of snow for every inch of liquid that would be falling from the sky if this was all liquid, a wet, heavy snow. What's kind of the standard, just the general rule of thumb that is often used, including in most of our models, is a 10-to-1 ratio. So that's example number 2 on the graphic, where you see that 1 inch of water equating to 10 inches of snow. And then if it's a dry snow that's more common up north, you can have ratios of 20 to even 25-to-1, meaning for 1 inch of liquid water, you're actually generating 20 inches of snow or more. So the current thinking here in our part of the world is that the snow ratios probably are going to fall somewhere between that 5-to-1 to 10-to-1 in general terms. And it's tough to forecast that. It's complicated. So then what we do is we look at the models and we say, how much liquid precipitation do the models generate if we just assume it was all liquid? And right now they've got much of the area anywhere from 0.4 of an inch of liquid, maybe up to about an inch. So if you start thinking about those ratios, this is where it gets complicated. You can't just take the model numbers as gospel because they're using a 10-to-1 ratio for the most part. So in some instances, they may be too high. I know that's confusing, but hopefully it made a little bit of sense. So having said all that, let's give you a look at some of those model numbers. This is the graph, already showing some snow, light accumulations west of us not long after midnight. By daybreak, starting to get some light accumulations locally. But you see how the accumulations really take off Tuesday morning. That is lunchtime. And by the time it's all said and done, the raw output of that model shows 6 to 12 inches. That would be huge, right? But that is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio. So let's say we bump that down to a 5-to-1 ratio. That would basically mean we cut these numbers in half. So even there, you're looking at 3 to 6 inches of snow on average. That's on the low end of that model. The reality may be somewhere in between. All right, here's the HRRR, what it shows. Shows again maybe some light accumulations beginning around daybreak. Really shows the snow though picking up through Tuesday morning. And then by the time we're done, you'll note how it keeps totals near north of the state line lighter. And that's one trend we're kind of keeping an eye on over the last 12 hours. Some of the high resolution models have been keeping the heaviest snow bands near and maybe even south of the interstates. So that's a bit of a change from yesterday. So you can see near and north of the state line, it's got 2 inches or less. But as you get near and south of the interstate, it's got 6 to 9 in some areas. So if we cut that in half, you're still talking, 3 to 5, 3 to 6. And again, the reality may very well be somewhere in between. And then as we look at the NAM, it's a little more aggressive with snow accumulating by tomorrow morning. But just like the other models, shows the accumulations really peaking during the morning, a little more in the afternoon. And you see how it's got, for much of South Louisiana, 6 to 12, lower totals north of the state line. So again, trim those down a bit, probably in reality, but still remarkable numbers any way you slice it. And then we'll give you a look at the euro. Light accumulations through daybreak. Start to see a little more there through the morning. The euro is less aggressive with the totals overall, generally showing 3 to 5, 3 to 6. And then finally, here's the GFS. Shows some decent accumulations by daybreak tomorrow. Really has it picking up through the morning. And then you see the end numbers, and quite a range there, 4 to 8 across much of our area, even some higher totals west of us. All right, so snow totals are complicated, is what I'm getting at. But what you see here is a strong signal for a significant snow event in our part of the world. And I'm going to tell you kind of my end thoughts on the snow totals here in a moment. I just wanted to run through some of the scenarios. So here is a plot of 3 different models for Baton Rouge, the raw output. Man, those are impressive numbers, right? 6 inches to nearly a foot. That, again, is assuming that 10 to 1 ratio, which is quite possibly a little too high. So let's say we cut that in half to be conservative. That's still 3 to 6 inches of snow, right? Which is kind of what we've been talking about the last couple of days. But honestly, I'm kind of leaning that the snow ratios are going to be somewhere in between that 5 to 1 and that 10 to 1, maybe more like 7 to 1, 8 to 1. So what does that mean? Well, that means let's shave a third off of that, and you're starting to talk maybe about a 4 to 8 inch range as a reasonable expectation. All right, so here are the key messages as it stands here on Monday afternoon. Number one, do not forget about the hard freezes. Already had a hard freeze in many areas overnight and this morning. Take care of people, pets, plants, and pipes. If you have not wrapped those pipes yet, get it done, okay? Need to get it done. This could potentially be an historic winter storm for much of the area coming up on Tuesday. Now, it's to be determined where the heaviest bands of snow set up and fall, but suffice to say, where those do set up, those could be unprecedented snow totals for parts of the area, at least in our lifetime. With that in mind, travel Tuesday and Wednesday is going to be very difficult, if not impossible at times. I would expect a lot of road closures tomorrow. Wednesday, there's going to be a brief thaw. I think it's going to be pretty brief. And with that, I think we could still have issues coming up on Thursday. And here's the issue with the Wednesday thaw. It's brief. So then we could get some liquid now on the ground, and then temperatures quickly fall below freezing once the sun goes down. And now you're talking about maybe worrying about some icy spots on the road. So that could still be an issue Wednesday night and Thursday morning. All right, so what is my end thinking on the snow numbers? Because I ran through a lot and we talked about ratios, and it's confusing, right? Here's what I would say. I would say, especially anybody in Southeast Louisiana, let's plan on totals ranging from, it's a pretty big range, I understand, but such is the nature of snow forecasting. I would say plan on 3 to 8 inches. I think numbers like that could be fairly common. And I would say on the high end, it's still quite possible that we'll have some bands, some stripes of 8 to 12 inches, which is remarkable. Now, there are, as I pointed out in guidance, some indications that north of the state line, those numbers might be trending a little bit lower. I'd still like to keep an eye on that this afternoon. So stay with me, because we will have another live update coming up this afternoon, coming up a little bit after 3 o'clock. And then we have newscasts at 4, 5, 6, and 10, where we'll get into a lot of detail as well. All right. So that is my current thinking. Maybe time for here a couple of questions before we wrap it up. But I've got to start getting ready for work and everything we've got going on there. A lot going on, obviously. So give me just a sec to peek at the Facebook pages and see if you guys have any questions. All right. Let's see. All right. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up for now. If you're still watching, we will have another live update. The governor has a press conference planned around 3 p.m. Uh, I'll do a live update after that, and much more 4, 5, 6, and 10, and posts coming up on social media as well. But get your preparations finished this afternoon.